NANI?
大丈夫でしょ。だって君、弱いもん。
Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the goated one. Welcome. Today we're turning the Warframe that's collectively written off as one of the worst into an absolute one-tapping monster. Oberon is strong, stronger than most people want to admit, and with this high investment build you will exactly see why. A quick disclaimer before we start though, before you head into the comments, listen to what I say in the video, trust me, it will save us both some time. And of course, the obligatory shout out to my Discord server. We got plenty of active members to chat with, and we're actively looking for mods, so come join and maybe join the mod team in the progress. Well, enough yapping and enough self-promo. Let's break down Oberon's abilities and what makes him tick. Oberon might not be everyone's first pick, but trust me, with the right setup, he turns into an absolute monster. Let's start with Smite, since Oberon's passive does absolutely nothing for us. I mean, maybe a free companion revive, but that's about it. As the name suggests, you're smiting enemies out of existence. You've probably seen the max smite build that one-shots basically everything. This works on the same principle. The difference though, instead of subsuming it onto mag and calling it a day, we're running it straight on Oberon. When you cast Smite on an enemy, it spawns orblets that deal damage based off the target's max HP percentage, meaning your damage stays consistent at any level. As long as you follow the correct order of actions, it doesn't matter, it will always one-shot. Now, here is where things get funny. Smite's damage counts as weapon damage. You know what that means? We can abuse Vigorous Swap and Arcane Arachne for a massive 315% base damage boost before we even take other increases into account. Stack that with the interaction of Xata's Void Bubble plus Smite and voila, disruptors get deleted in seconds. In total, all orblets together deal a total of 35% of the target's max HP as a damage. If there are 10 orblets, each of them will hit for 3.5%, so making sure every single one connects is crucial. Just to clarify, Xata's Whisper only helps by allowing the orblets to home in on headshots or other body parts, depending on where you shoot. It doesn't add a second damage instant to Smite, unfortunately, but that would be broken as hell. I'll break down the exact ability rotation at the end, so you can consistently one-tap everything, so stay tuned for that. Let's continue with Hallowed Ground. Hallowed Ground is a solid all-rounder. It grants full status immunity and crowd controls enemies that are standing on it. Fun fact, you can have 4 of these active at a time, meaning you can practically cover entire rooms or like entire tiles with it. The only downside, enemy toxin weapons still don't care. They still melt you instantly, no questions asked. We subsumed Over's third ability because it's useless for what we're doing here. Instead, we are running Xata's Whisper. As I mentioned earlier, this purely exists to make Smite's orblets home in on enemy heads for more consistent one-shots. We're also applying the same trick to a weapon of our choice, the Mitre, which results in even more ridiculous damage. Lastly, we have Reckoning, his fourth ability. This serves 3 purposes: armor stripping, as long as enemies are on Hallowed Ground, crowd control, it knocks enemies to the ground and blights them, they should have equipped Prime Sure-Footed, I'm sure, and health up generation, which basically never works because you don't actually kill anything with this ability, so yeah, it's a double-edged sword. For the armor strip, like I said, it only works while enemies are on Hallowed Ground, and against demolishers, in our opinion, it's not worth setting up. It takes too long without yellow shards, but then again, who cares, you're already one-shotting them, armor or not. Anyways, with that covered, let's shift our focus to the mod setup and talk about it. Now that we've covered Oberon's abilities and how they work, let's break down the mod setup. In the aura slot, we are running Brief Respite to enable shield gating, pretty self-explanatory I'd say. For the power strength, we have Blind Rage. We want that efficiency hit, since it allows us to shield gate better, plus we get a 99% strength bonus. Primed Continuity for the extra duration, because more uptime is always good. Rolling Guard as an added invulnerability layer. I mean, you don't need the status cleanse, your 2 already does that for you. Primed Flow plus Equilibrium to keep up the energy economy. Oberon is a hungry boy, so he needs that energy desperately. Vigorous Swap for the damage boost to our orblets. And now for a kinda tricky part, overextended, that's rank 4. It must be rank 4, otherwise you will end up with a 99% armor strip instead of 100, and that's just pain for us min-maxers. In the Xata slot, we are running Cunning Drift. Yeah, I know you thought it would be Prime Surefooted, didn't you? But joke's on you, we already have Status Immunity, as I stated earlier. Prime Surefooted does nothing here. And the final mod slot is a bit of a flex pick. You can either play Stretch or Augur Reach, or if you play Stretch, you have a full 360 degree radius on your 2, while you play Augur Reach, you only have a 342 degree range, but you get extra shield gating, pick your poison. But if you don't care about coverage or about the 2, you could also pick Catalyzing Shield on Natural Talent. Just keep in mind, this might change up the builds in ways that we didn't expect, so use at your own risk. The weapon we're running with Oberon is the Miter Incarnate. When built for heat damage, combined with primary Crux's 300% status chance and a Xata bubble, it gets ridiculous pretty fast. This setup is a fairly standard crit heat hybrid build, nothing too crazy, but it gets the job done at any level. For the Incarnate's evolutions, I forgot this in the last video, so let's fix that. The first evolution is locked, you can't change that. The second evolution, we use Plentiful Mayhem. 3 base damage and multi-shot, no reason to skip it. The third evolution, Mercenary Chamber, it helps counteract the ammo drain that we get from the evolution too. And for the fourth evolution, you got 2 choices, Commodore's Fortune or Critical Parallel. Both work, but I recommend Critical Parallel for the added status chance. Alright, I know I'm about to blow your socks off, and I bet anyone who watched my channel for a while didn't see that one coming. We're using Compressor to prime enemies for us. A true shocker, I'm sure, to most of you. Here's the build we're rolling with. Each shot deals corrosive, viral and cold damage, which are pretty essential, so you can one-shot every demolisher that you see. On a quick side note, you need Reflex Draw in the Xata slot. If you're not using it, and you're wondering why your Smite, Priming and Xata aren't pulling off one-shots, this, well, might be it. Now, let's talk about the Bink Bong Stick, Arca-Titron. I'm gatekeeping this build behind my Discord. Just kidding, but seriously, come join us, it's fun. Here's the setup, feel free to mess around with it, but it is what a ribbonless setup can look like. Tweak it, try new things, it won't bite, or will it? Huh? Your companion is a crucial part of any build, so you might as well build this hound even if you're not going for the setup. There's just one little tweak to our usual primer hound. We swapped out Duplex Bond for Guardian. This gives us a free shield gate every now and then, which Oberon really needs. Now, I've seen some of you copying our builds, and let me make this clear, you need the hound setup that I always show, or something similar to it, or you're probably gonna have a bad time. And especially Synth Deconstruct, it's a game changer for sustaining energy, don't skip it. As for the hound weapon, it's about Totem, it's nothing special, it's only priming and some armor strip, nothing else. Try to replicate it as close as possible. The focus slot isn't a make or break thing for this build, but here's the deal, go with Vazarin if you want to be tankier, or Madurai for the extra ability damage. It's nice, and it gives you easy self-res, your call. Now let's talk about the ability rotation, which you specifically need to kill disruptors. If you don't follow this, your damage output is probably gonna be a joke, I'm gonna be honest with you. There are 2 rotations that you can use. The first one is a bit hit or miss, but it works. Personally, I recommend the second one, though here's how it goes. For the first one, pop Xata, swap to your compressor, prime the demo unit's head. It's important you hit the head, wait for the compressor bubbles to disappear, and then cast Smite while you're switching between your weapons. If you hit the headshot and prime properly, this should one-shot the demo. Now for the more consistent one-shot, pop Xata and Arcane Arachne, prime the demo unit's head or body, it doesn't matter with this setup, wait for the bubbles to disappear, cast Smite while swapping between weapons, and this should one-shot the demo unit always, at any level. The weapon swapping is necessary, you need to proc Vigorous Swap, the rest explains itself pretty much. Before I send you off to try this build, there are some bugs and possible issues that you should know before you build this, so let's go over those real quick. First off, if you're not the host, this will probably not work, because peer-to-peer is just horrible. Some of the Smite orbs might just not hit at all, even though they should. Second, sometimes Xata doesn't pull in Smite orbs, they'll just float off. Third, make sure enemies aren't around the demo unit or next to the demo unit, else the orblets might go on vacation and seek those out, therefore lowering your damage output. Fourth, as I mentioned, a segment of the 2, your state is immune on your grass, but the modifier enemy toxin weapons does not care about that. And lastly, fifth, if you don't use his ability properly, he will have some slight survivability issues. If you keep these 5 things in mind while playing, you should be completely fine. But now that you know the quirks of this build, I'd say let's wrap this up. That was a lot of waffling, but I promise you, once you get the hang of this build, it's hilarious to play. I mean, come on, before this video you probably thought Oberon was a shit frame. If I change your mind, leave me a comment, and if you're unsubbed, leave a sub. I would appreciate it a lot. If you excuse me now, I have to go back smiting enemies out of existence with my hollow purple, I mean Smite. Peace out.